It doesn't matter how human you may believe you are making your content or your writing or doing your work in this day and age. Because 100 years from now, should human beings really feel like AI is more important than humanity itself, they could just outsource everything to AI. Whether that is sustainable or not is not something we're really going to be digging into right now. But if everything is outsourced to AI, let's say eventually 100 years from now, that means that whether or not you believe that you made things as human as can be, whether you documented it or not, chances are that by then anything can be labeled AI. We've seen how we have been duped throughout history. A lot of what we thought was real is mostly lies, and what we have been told are lies is mostly truth. Things that address the Holocaust, how great America is, for example, to God related things, where more and more each day we are understanding that not only is He real, not only is heaven real, but that we are supposed to be living as He is in heaven, right here on the earth today. And also stuff like how Africa is at the center of human civilization and intelligence. And that's why a lot of resources, whether they are physical or intellectual, or spiritual, or otherwise, are concentrated on this continent, and why there is such an attack on everything good that shows Africa's light and how Africa is actually meant to spread this light. We see a concerted effort for this light from Africa to be extinguished every which way, right? But these efforts are never really successful completely, because Africa rises up again and again and again. And that's not necessarily the fault of people trying by all means to keep us glazed and subservient to human or satanic authority. It's literally just the fact that the power that is at work at that camp, so to speak, is not enough. It is just not enough to overcome the power that is at work at this camp. What I'm trying to say is that the power of light will always overwhelm the imagined power of darkness. And that's just the way things will always be, which is why Africa will continue to rise again and again until what God had purposed, by enabling so many things to come from Africa, rise and spread to the rest of the world. That's what God intended, and so it shall be. So, yes, we've been taught a lot of lies. We have been engineered to be subservient to unreal authorities. And that just means that factually, that is not the authority we are designed to operate under as human beings, which is why there always feels like there's such a mismatch, right? There's always friction there. And our spirits continue to yearn for more, because the ultimate authority we should be aligned with is the authority that comes from heaven. It's just the way it is. Kind of like how for a very long time, you couldn't charge an Android phone with an iPhone charger. There was a mismatch, right? Not enough power pulling through, the connections were just not connecting. And that's okay, because Android had their own line of power that brought in the right amount and the right type of juice needed to power up the device. I can tell you right now that you are essentially a device. And you also need to be powered up by something. That's basically just the fact that your spirit needs to be connected to something. You're not just a body that needs to be fed each day. You're not just a brain that lives on intellect. You are primarily a spirit that needs to be connected to the right source. It's not Satan. It's not other human beings. It's God. So after generations, because of all of these lies, we were fed through books, television, social media, churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, even the home, schools, whatever else is going on out there. We assimilated to that reality. And that could be the same thing with AI in the next couple of hundreds of years in the future. And you will have no say in it because you're no longer here, which is why it is always wise to write things down. Not only film yourselves on platforms that don't belong to you, which could be manipulated. There is something important that you believe the next generation could benefit from and you want to future proof it, write it down or film it or record it and put it somewhere that can be safe and accessible for the next generation to learn from, so that should they find themselves maybe in an AI age that also contains a lot of propaganda, there is still truth available to them to move civilization forward in the right direction. And it's so important not to put yourself in a state of unproductivity, because you feel like someone else will think that what you are doing is AI. Don't thrust yourself into so much anxiety that you end up doing nothing at all, because at the end of the day, people are going to think whatever people want to think. But it will always be your responsibility to do what you are supposed to do. Because if you don't do it, you are not running a race and you fail.